Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. It's Teresa here with a super puppy layout for the Color Rush Studio design team. I'm working with the September kit called You Rock. This is my final layout using this collection before the October kit comes in. And so just showing you the pattern papers I've chosen to work with. I also have a sheet of blank white cardstock that I have prepped with gesso. A couple of enamel dots, these little pops from Scrapbook.com, and also the watercolor palette that I'm using. This is an older one from Jane Davenport. And I chose this one because the colors seem like they work perfectly with this collection. So I'm going to go ahead and do the plastic wrapping technique where you put down your watercolor on a good surface. I'm using this mat here, a great watercolor surface mat, and a bit of transparency here to pick up the medium and sort of place it down onto the gessoed surface here in kind of a random, haphazard way, just to introduce color to the layout and give the background white background paper a bit of visual interest. Notice what happens here when I added just a little bit of the darker blue and the cerulean blue, and it makes it stand out a little bit more on the page, gives a little bit more visual interest there in terms of color. And love that little background. I wanted it to feel a little bit like the sky, but also a little bit like the randomness and silliness that is a new puppy. And that is what my layout is about today. We have a new family member in our home, a little precious little yellow lab mix. We called her Mayze. And she is just the cutest little thing. And so, of course, I'm going to start building a scrapbook just for her. And this is our first one, our first layout for that album. So welcome, Mayze. And I hope you enjoy watching this process through. Now, one thing that I do when I use watercolor is I blot it with a paper towel so that it dries quicker. You noticed also that I used kind of the darkest color in the palette to do the little splatters there, just inviting a little bit more contrast onto that background. Now, my basic idea for this layout, for the pattern papers on this layout, is just to do like a starburst, and have Mayze's photos across the bottom, and then these strips of pattern paper coming out from behind the photos, in a kind of starburst pattern. This is an exciting kind of visual here that's coming. And of course I chose these colors just to have some bright, happy colors. I love the color palette from this month's kit. My favorite yellow, floral. I love this yellow so much. This is all that I have left of it. That little piece that I tossed off to the side there. That's it. I've used both pieces and love it so much. It's so pretty. So this is a perfect kind of pattern papers for Mayze. They're very bright and bold and graphic. And the thing that I loved about cutting them on the diagonal like this, and this is a little design lesson for you about creating tension. So most of the pattern papers in this collection were very geometric, which is very straight lines, straight angles. And what I'm doing here is introducing an angle, these angled cuts, and they create a tension between the very straight grid pattern papers and the angles here that I've cut. And, of course, then the yellow floral is kind of an all over pattern. And so we've got a great bit of tension here that adds more, excitement, and it adds more impact to the starburst. This is one of the reasons why we love starburst layouts like this so much, because those diagonal lines are visually interesting and exciting for our eyes to look at. Because the yellow pattern papers, y'all are going to get sick of hearing me talk about this yellow pattern paper. I get it. Because it's my favorite, I'm going to keep it kind of on the top. And then, once those are down, look how simple the background was to create for this layout. It's so easy. This layout really did come together quickly, and I love that. I love when that happens. So I'm going to pop the photos up using foam dots, of course, using every bit of the adhesive sheets that I can here, keeping some room so I can tuck things underneath it, or allowing room to tuck things underneath it. And then I think what I want to do, since I've already been having play with the watercolor, is I want to tuck this little flower, floral illustration behind the photos. And so I'm going to watercolor those. And listen, I'm going to keep this really simple. I heard Jennifer McGuire the other day say that watercolor was the one thing in scrapbooking and card making that scared her. And I could so relate to that. I feel the same way. It's definitely not my area of expertise. But, the lines here are already drawn. This beautiful artwork is already created. But for something like this, it's okay to keep it really simple and just use 3 or 4 colors. Use a darker one for some shading somewhere. Don't worry about whether it's technically correct or not. Just adding color and just adding fun here, having some fun, adding color, just as if you were coloring with crayons in kindergarten. Only we probably give ourselves a little bit more pressure than kindergartners give themselves. But there's no pressure here. Also notice another little thing is I'm coloring outside the lines. And that's just to help everything kind of visually mix in a little bit, to soften some of those lines a little bit. And I love how it kind of looks like stained glass. I think that's the effect of that particular watercolor palette. Those watercolors were part of Jane Davenport's Mermaid collections a couple of years ago, and the colors in those collections were so beautiful, so much pigment and vibrant colors, just like this collection. I love it. Just like this kit. I love it so much. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. So let's do a title here. I'm going to use these fabulous alphabets. I love how simple they are. This font, of course, it's a staple in the scrapbooking community for a really long time. Thank you, American Crafts. And so it makes for great titles. I'm just going to say hi. It's Mayze. And placing the letters around the photos here, bringing more emphasis to this part of the layout. This is part of this becomes the cluster that, of course, is the focal point of the layout, and the starburst at the top balances that out. So I want to try something here. I mentioned I got these little pops from Scrapbook.com. It's a little paint. It's thick. I will say you don't have a lot of, like, once it goes down, it goes down. But I wanted to try creating just some simple little flower elements here. I thought this would be cute. It's supposed to be like you can draw with it. Like you can make squiggle lines with this. And so I wanted to just try my hand. I used a little green glitter enamel dot for the center of the flower. And then I drew flower petals coming out from that center, and I thought maybe using a palette knife would help me make it more leaf-like. And I found that if you kind of smush it and then lift it up, that makes a cute little petal kind of image. I don't know if it works or not, but they look cute. Once it's all done, it looks really cute. Of course, I don't have a lot of colors just yet. I've only ordered once. I definitely want to order some more. And I feel like this is definitely something that I want to experiment with some more, because I think the more you play with stuff, the more ideas come to you. And so I didn't play with these for very long, but I did another pink flower over here on the right hand side. And look how cute. This paint does take a while to dry, so I'm gonna let it set overnight before I put it in the stack with the other layouts that are waiting to be put away. You know how it goes. And then I'm gonna balance that here with a couple more flowers over on the left hand side. I'm gonna try with the blue, and this time, remember how I said the more you play with them, the more ideas come to you. And so for this one, I tried to just do a dot and then pulling that out with the white thing. What's that called? The palette knife. Pulling the paint out a little bit from the center with the palette knife. And I think that worked really cute too. So I like that. I did 2 little blue flowers. Just a fun little technique. Just having some fun with product. And I'm going to do another one. Let's do pink. And I'm going to do that same sort of dot and smear type. I love little hand-painted elements or hand-drawn elements like this. I forget sometimes. Back in the early 2000s, this was part of what pushed the scrapbooking community to where we are today, was people like C.D. McCuskey and Elsie Larson of Beautiful Mess, Amy Tangerine. They did hand-drawn elements on their layouts. And I know not everybody's comfortable doing that, but I would love to see some of that come back. So there we go. There's my feeble attempts at that. I'm going to add my journaling here. Again, keeping that balance here. What you do on the left-hand side, also do on the right-hand side. What you do on the bottom, balance it with something at the top. And then you've got a great little kind of asymmetrical page here. I'm going to stamp my date here so that I have documentation of what day we got her, and then complete this layout. You guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I'll have links to the products down below, and then I will be back here again real soon with more stories and inspiration and layouts for you. Bye-bye.